All right, so I guess I get a chance to actually give my testimony of things. Now, the good thing is that God is a witness to everything that everyone does, and more importantly, their intentions in the doing. So, in 2009, my children's mother, my son had just been born, my daughter was 3. My children's mother had met somebody else or whatever, and was she would leave for a couple days at a time, or a couple nights at a time at first, and then it was several days at a time, and this went on for 6 months or whatever while she had met somebody else or whatever. And so I was trying to figure out a way for the kids to have both of their parents in their lives and stuff. So then one night, she just started assaulting me. She whipped me in the skull with a freaking big, thick extension cord, left a dent behind my ear, whipped me in the face with a telephone, and was punching and kicking me, ripped my shirt in half, and had her mom hiding outside in the bushes for some reason, calling the cops. And there was several friends in our house, and I was, the whole time, she was trying to get me to fight back, I guess, so that I could go to jail for domestic violence. So the cops, when they showed up, they wound up, I refused to say anything because I didn't want her to go to jail. And so then they immediately arrested me, but I didn't commit any violence, so they wrote it up as malicious mischief because she had also been taking all of the children's things and packing them up, and had wound up breaking some of my son's baby food on the kitchen floor. And so that's what they charged me with. Then I went to court, and 3 or 4 times my defense attorney came back with some new offer to plead guilty to something that I didn't do, and so I kept refusing, and then finally on the day of court, they dropped the charges. But then immediately after that, they read identical police reports from them, false police reports from them in the courtroom. And the attorney also had told the judge that they can't find him anywhere and stuff because immediately after that, they had kidnapped him and taken him to Texas. And then I suppose they were filing for some kind of emergency custody issue based on the fact that they had falsely arrested me using Texas law. So then she brought him back a few months later, and then we never saw her since, for 7 or 8 years. But constantly, we're being stalked by members of her family and monitored all the time on Facebook. My children were being abused by their teachers at school that we're friends with. For example, the lunch lady at their school would show up with gifts that would say mom on them, I don't know, I guess to torment them. And so they were monitoring my Facebook. So I would talk about my grandpa being in the military, and they would be outside my apartment, saying some mocking words about the military, or just all these various things. They assaulted my brother. My parents' houses got burnt down 3 different times. So for a long time, that's what we were going through. And then in 2015, I suppose another one of her friends, or she calls all of the people in her gang or whatever, her uncles or aunts, but they're not related at all. And I didn't know, like, her mom was abducted by aliens, so, you know, and that's how her dad had won custody of her. And so, like, I didn't know that that had all to do with witchcraft and stuff like this. Like, so, oh, in 2009 also, like, this was exactly, like, right after the time that I had been converted to Christianity. You know, and because my brother was struck blind with no medical explanation while he was driving a truck in Portland, Oregon, at 12141 Division Street in Portland, Oregon, about 9 a.m. on January 21st, 2009. And anyway, so while she was taking off all the time, like, I had to keep calling in sick, and we worked at the same company, me and my brother. So they wound up firing me for a no-call, no-show. And then I had to prove in court that I actually did call in, you know, so that I won unemployment. And this was during the Great Recession, so I was depending on unemployment and then on TANF while I had my kids, you know, and this wound up being into homelessness because I never really went out looking for another woman after this, you know. Like, I mean, you know, I got my kids all the time. It's impossible to work. It's impossible to find a woman when you're carrying 2 babies around. You can't go to a party. You can't go to a bar, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so then, in 2011 and 2012, there was an attempt on my life and my son's life. I was staying in an RV behind my dad's house, and they had hooked up an electrical cord to the frame of the vehicle, and it's called an RV hot skin effect. So, and then they would flick like pennies, bullets, and all these other things at the frame of the vehicle while I was sleeping in there, or whatever, to try to get me to jump up and step onto the step and thereby electrocute myself. So one night about 4 in the morning, my son woke up and he was shaking like this, and he goes, "Daddy, my heart's blowing." And so I picked him up and I jumped over this metal step, you know, and I ran to the hospital. But, you know, there's no way of proving that he was electrocuted once you get to the hospital or whatever. So then, you know, then their little stalking games or whatever continue. And in 2015, we decided to take everybody's advice, you know, because I was freaking out about all this stuff going on and all of her whole gang like stalking us and whatnot. So 2015, we found somebody that was going to let us live and help work on their farm in Idaho. And so as soon as I left, and I suppose that she was related or friends with or part of their Manson family cult or whatever, but as soon as I left, you know, to drive to Idaho, and this was just up the gorge, up I-84, so somehow God like made my car break down in Pendleton, and we stayed the night at a motel while I was getting it repaired. And here come the police, you know, knocking on the door, and they said that this person had called from the Rainier Police Department and claimed that I had taken the kids and I was breaking some Oregon state child law about not allowing her to see them, which was totally not true, but that I was breaking some law, you know, and that if I had gone into the next state, it would have been a felony. But they, you know, I talked to them for a little bit and they just let me go after reading me the actual law. Okay, so then 2016 comes along, you know, and I go to work at Foster Farms, and other members of her family, this time her uncle and a couple of his friends, were like harassing me every day at work. And going around spreading false rumors about me and everything like that, and trying to get me fired and stuff. And it was just a negative environment, so I couldn't keep working there. So I went to a different place. And so this was like the whole part of the whole reason why I wanted to leave town in the first place. So then we went to Santa Cruz, and she immediately filed all these court documents, you know, that they somehow convinced the judge to issue court orders saying that I had to stay in the same county where, like, I was already feeling like I was entrapped in by them, you know, so I had to stay there. And I suppose this was so that it could be the whole world or whatever. But, you know, like, oh my God, they own the whole world. No, it's not true. That's just one little cult, you know. But so they filed these things in court, and then I suppose that through secret communication or whatever, like, they were also friends with the guardian ad litem that was selected. And the court, you know, wasn't in the family court. You're not allowed to have a lawyer, but for some reason she had a lawyer. I wasn't allowed to have a lawyer. And they tried to chase me around the country. When we went to Santa Cruz, I had gotten a job. We had a place to live and all of these things. But then, you know, they had been chasing me around the country. Like, I took my kids to DC, and we got detained by the Capitol Police for 4 hours because of whatever files they were filing against me in Washington State, in Longview, Washington. So then the day of court comes, you know, so after we went to DC, we went up to New York, and they came back. And then the day, and so, you know, we get back, and all of a sudden come to find out, like, oh, next week is the court date, you know. I didn't even know, but I walked down to the police department, and I got the paperwork from them. And meanwhile, while we were gone, the guardian ad litem had threatened my dad, told him that he wasn't allowed to help me, and that he had to file a missing persons report against me. So this is why I was detained in DC. So then court comes along, and the guardian ad litem committed massive perjury, like claiming, first of all, that she had seen all this evidence that I was on drugs and all these things. And I demanded to take a hair follicle test and destroyed her testimony. You know, and then she was saying that we were in San Diego rather than Santa Cruz. And the lawyer even took my Facebook account, and he cobbled together some invented testimony that he had made up using words that I wrote, like cutting out, deleting, omitting all of my concerns about potential abuse and how this person had abandoned her kids for the last 7 years and didn't care about them at all, and how concerned I was, you know, because these people have just had this attitude of eternal war against Christians who are supposed to be their victims or whatever, you know. But like I said, you know, so it turned out like they were doing all these things against me in court. But what I did was I just told the judge that she should be taking responsibility for her children, you know. And so I wound up having to leave, you know, because I wasn't going to sit there and let them do some kind of plot that God had taught me about them planning. So anyway, like I said, you know, it's a long story, and I guess that's what they depend on, you know. But when it comes down to it, like, everything that happened was nothing that I was doing. I was trying to be peaceful and take care of my children. That's all I was doing. I never committed no crimes. So, you know, but God's a witness to all of that, including their intentions for doing it. So that's how you can get comfort from that. I mean, there's no other way around it there. I hope my kids are okay.